What's happening, disc golf fans, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, welcome. And I'm here with another disc golf adventure. Let's get into it. All right, today we are in Chattanooga, Tennessee at the course called The Sinks. Yeah, we're there. We've been there, done that. It's a popular course. If you haven't played it, it's worth it. All right, so pause this video if you want to take a look at the map. But here we're moving on to hole one, and I've got the shorts and the longs. This is hole one at 318 or 366. So we played the shorts to long, and plus there's some inner, but you get a look at it here. There's 20 holes, established in 2005. Cart friendly, not stroller friendly, but no water or bathrooms available. But again, it goes from 318, 366. Pretty cool looking hole. It's very flat like this. There's some areas, muddy areas, and some sinkholes, man. That's why they're called the sinks, because you will lose your disc. If it goes in these sinkholes, gone. Count it gone. All right, so check out the course. Good looking course. Not a whole lot of underbrush. You got just trees in front of you to hit. I'm sorry, to miss. But this is what it looks like. Good looking stuff. And a lot of this I'm just going to kind of tell you about how we did and what we threw. Like I said, we threw shorts to long, but there's 8 different layouts, so you can check that out, which one works for you. Here's a look at hole 2, 227 to 287. This is all on UDisc, and again, looking at the different layouts. And you can pause if you want and kind of look at the side a little bit to see what we're looking at, what we're throwing here, and think about, what you are throwing. I made the mistake and threw mostly drivers, trying to get down the fairways. I shouldn't have got anything more than at most, a 7-speed probably, because I was kicking them off into the bushes and just, man, it kicked my butt, no doubt. But it was definitely a fun course. All right, again, here looking through the trees, and like I said, it was a time of year that a little cool out. Leaves were not in full bloom. So, we had some, I guess, some areas or some lines that would not normally be there during the year. Let's look at hole 3, 195 or 257. Nice wide range in between. Like I said, the 8 different layouts, so you can kind of pick and choose if you want to do longs or shorts. And plus, like I said, there's inners, what they call inners, and there's just some different holes that you can throw, like 11A, 11B. That kind of thing. So definitely cool course, worth checking out. Again, looking down at the basket here, and again, kind of look around, because some of these trees are setting in sinkholes. The ground was dry the time that we were there, but man, I will point out some of the sinkholes when I see them. I did not lose any discs. Our party did not lose any discs, but man, it was easily done. So easily done. All right. And what else was going on here with this one? Yeah, not stroller friendly. I wonder why. I don't get it. I guess because of the sinkholes or something. But hole 4, this is 175 or 230. And depending on the layout, on what you're going to throw. But check out this fairway. Looks pretty easy just to get down the fairway and move on. It's only 230. It should be easy. Yeah, that's what I thought. But like I said, kicked my butt. It's all right. It was a blast. Just getting out there. All right, moving on to hole 5 here. We've got a 245 feet to 378 feet for the long. And here you're going to be moving down the fairway pretty much straight ahead, but just off to the left side a little bit, as you're going to see here in just a minute. That avoid the trees. You got a nice wide open fairway, and you're going to be heading, like I said, just down the fairway, a little bit off to the left side. Again, avoiding the underbrush and the junk on the sides, and you're good. Yeah, just a good looking fairway, looking down the course here, and moving on to hole 6. All right, so hole 6 is 303 feet or 344 for the longs, and you can kind of see down the fairway here, you're going to be pushing a little bit to the left side, kind of like before, but again, nice. You'll see it's a nice looking fairway, and just to push something down there without hitting the guardian trees. But yeah, again, good looking fairway. I don't remember there being any water hazards on this one. Like I said, man, you get them in the brown, muddy water, and then your disc is gone. All right, moving on to hole 7 here. We've got 251 feet, or 296 for the longs. And this one, you can kind of see that you're pushing off to the right side of the fairway. And again, good looking fairway. Should be easy. Maybe a right-hand sidearm. For me, it's the left-hand backhand. Push it out as far as I can, keeping it straight, and trying to stay out of the bushes. That's kind of my thing. Trying to stay out of the bushes, which I did not do. Again, I was using a lot of drivers and kicking off trees and going deep. So, lesson learned. All right, here's a little better look down the fairway, and you can kind of see the basket down here on the right side. Again, depending on where the pin location is, as to how far right you're going to be or what guardian trees are going to be blocking your way. But again, love the course. Good looking hole. Moving on to hole 8. Hole 8, we're at 220 feet. There's the shorts, 390 for the longs. And again, you're kind of pushing here to the left, and you've got some trees. As you'll see here in just a minute, you got some trees to hook again to the left. Right, you can see the trees right in front of you. You're going to hook to the left, and then the basket. The time that we were there, you'll see here in just a minute that it was right out in the middle. So you got to make it around that turn. If you can get around that and push to the left without hitting the trees or the guardian trees, you're golden. And here's a look at the basket being almost out in the middle of the fairway. It opens up after that guardian tree that we saw on the last shot. And again, this is kind of where we ended up and pushing to the basket. All right, moving on to hole 9. At 239 feet for the shorts, 383 for the longs, and you can see here on the tee signs, you got some water on there, and that's deceiving because it's not just water, it's mud hole. And that's the sinks, they're the sinkholes, and man, they are muddy, and you will probably lose a disc in there. Just know that. So here you go, looking up at off the tee, looking at that gap on the left side. Pretty cool because the basket kind of faded off to the right side, and it's a raised basket, but get through the gap and you got it made. And here's a look at the raised basket. Good use of spare tires. Probably floated up during one of the flooding seasons, or just there on the property. But yeah, good way to use those tires. All right, let's look at hole 9. All right, and here's a look back at the basket from moving on to the next tee for hole 10, but also take a look at the underbrush. There's not a whole lot there, not a whole lot going on in this, at least this time of year, and so it's not too bad trying to throw through that, around it, over it, whatever you got to do. But that's again a look at hole 9. All right, moving on to hole 10. You can see on the tee signs here, we've got 328 feet for the shorts, 372 for the longs, and except for some guardian trees right in the middle, the basket's pretty much straight ahead. As you'll see on the fairway here, you can kind of push down just off to the right side and come back. There you go. Come back to the middle, and you're right about where the basket is. This is cool because after 9 it circles back around to just about the beginning of the course. So if you can only get in 9, you can start at 1 and go to 9, come back out, or start at 10 and finish out. All right. And again, here's another good look down the fairway. Like I was saying, there's a lot of pallets and wood. When it's muddy, I'm sure it's muddy. The day we were there, it wasn't so bad, like I said, but the sinkholes were definitely in play. All right, moving on to hole 11. All right, 279 for the shorts, 309 for the longs, and you can see there's water on the tee side, so that means, yeah, there's mud holes. And I guess that's the sinkholes. But, man, this day, you'll see here, they come in play. So nice gap through the tee, off the tee box, and that group of the heavier, thicker tree further down there on the fairway is where you're looking to aim to and get to. So as long as you can push something fairly straight ahead, like a destroyer or something, and go straight as long as you can, and then come over. There you go. You can see the basket on the right hand side, but there are a couple of the sinkholes. I don't think the one on the first part on the left side, the first one was just some standing water. I don't think that one was bad, but the one in the trees there, that looked deep and dark. All right, and then here's another look at the basket. Here we go. Nothing really right around it. I think there was something a little bit there, but not too bad. Again, I don't know how I avoided it that day. All right, then moving on to hole 12. We've got from 165 to 457. I'm going to show you the kind of the longs on this one too, but there is water in play on this hole, but I don't remember seeing any of the day we were throwing here. But the longs, it's a par 4 for the 457. I think we were throwing like 424 that day, kind of in between. Here's a look at the tee pad where we were, and nice gap. There's a mando on the trees there. You get it through the gap. Basically, well, depending on where the pin placement is, but you want to push through that, and he's either straight ahead or a little bit on the left side, not too far. And here's a look at the longs. Man, it's definitely more daunting, or more of a challenge. So here we go. All right, here we go, pushing on to hole 13. It's a short hole, 147 and 191 for the longs. And you can see by the tee sign here, this one wants to push off to the left side, so get through the gap and let it drift to the left. Let's see here. See, it's a tree basically on the left side of the fairway, which takes out my sidearm, unless I'm going to try to hook it much more. So backhand, maybe a backhand over, turnover. If you're right hand, easy backhand shot. And hyzer to the left, no big deal. Hole 14. Moving on with 176. The shorts, 390 on the longs. And again, depending on the pin positioning, you're either straight ahead or off to the far on the right side of the long ones. But wide open fairway, just some scrub brush on your left and right side. You can see the shorter tee pads in front of you here. And again, another good looking fairway. Just stay out of the brush on the sides, and a couple guardian trees down at the other end. Moving on, hole 15, we've got 262 or 521 par 4. I think we played the 414 on the day we were there. And again, good looking fairway. You can see on the tee signs here, it's pushing pretty much straight ahead or off to the right side. Just tight lines trying to get through. All right, and you can see the basket here on right behind, almost straight ahead, but right behind that guardian tree, and definitely some mud on the course that day, and those sinkholes. But yeah, hitting some trees. Here we go. Moving on, hole 16. This is 258 for the shorts, 319 for the longs, and you don't see any sinkholes on the map, but just know there's some other mud happening in here on this day. All right, and here's a look at the basket. I can't really call it a raised basket, but it's just up a little bit. But if you look at the area behind it, being those trees, it's dark areas, man, that's mud. And we just called it casual water at that point because it wasn't like the sinkhole areas, but definitely some water on the course. All right, moving on to hole 17. Looking at 189 for the shorts, 229 for the longs, and depending on where the pin position is depending on how far it's going to hook to the left. So you're going to push it up and let it fade to the left. And you can see here, nice open gap, especially with that tree missing here. It makes it a little easier to flex and get out there and then come back to your left side. Yeah, even looks like that other tree might be gone by now. So open up that fairway even more so. All right, here's a look at the basket. Again, a couple guarding trees, but that's it. You've got a pretty clear path to get around and up to the basket from here. Again, good looking fairway, heading back toward the front of the course, and moving on to hole 18. All right, we're looking at 160 feet for the shorts, 202 for the longs, and it seems like it's a little longer than that, but you're pushing definitely to the left, to the right, so you're going to be starting off on the left side, and there's a guarding tree. You'll see that here in a minute. Guarding tree to get through the gap about halfway down the course, and about halfway down the fairway, you can see that guarding tree is right in the middle. You want to get past that and hook to your right. All right. And again, good looking fairway, some scrub brush on both sides. Stay out of that, and you're golden. All right, I'm going to finish this off with another look at the map. You can kind of gauge how you're going around the course. Again, good looking course, fun to play. Just don't go there if it's been raining, and you'll stay out of the mud as much as you can. But a fun time. All right. That's it for this time. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to like and subscribe and share this video with friends. All right, see ya.